you're thinking how you think I would be thinking if you were in my spot. The reality is I'm not thinking the same way you are. I don't want to be in this spot. Really.
In a way, you're not gonna fit in anywhere. But you can still transform these beliefs to be more empowering. Instead of I don't fit in anywhere, I had her transform the belief. I said, I'm not supposed to fit in, I'm supposed to stand out.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode number 1,000, 287. We're all trying to find a way to get our needs met. Today, for episode number 1,288, what belief is really running you? We used to do a live, it was a meetup, it was a mastermind, then it was a meetup, then it was a live podcast. And I think we did that for, 2 years. I don't remember exactly how many weeks we did it. But I remember in the beginning, we would do it for an hour, the team would attend, and then we'd have a session after that, and we'd say, hey, what did you think? What did you think of the performance? What did you think of the stories? What did you think of the topic, the title? And I remember the team, they were always very kind to me. They were usually pretty hard on you because that's what you wanted. But they would say, Kev, you did great. It was 10 out of 10. And I remember this was always one of my thoughts. I understand what you saw, but you don't understand what I felt while I was doing this. And that's a drastic difference because, yes, the final product you see you think is really good, but the belief that I have, the belief that's running me is the not enoughness, the not good enoughness. So I understand you think it's good, but behind the scenes, or I guess in real time while I'm doing this, my constant thought is, this kind of sucks. This probably isn't very good. Does that story even make any sense? Is Alan judging me right now because he's staring at me and he's turning red? For me, I would say the number one belief, the belief that's really running me. Can I help you?
Remember back in the day when we were in the studio and we would capture a snapshot? I think you put this in one of your presentations. It's like a picture of you and I in the studio, and I'm like
judging.
Like, I have a face like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah. I'm used to that. I get that often. Often. From you, yeah. Yeah, you turn red a lot. Like when I'm saying something, and usually in my mind, it's like he doesn't think either I've completely lost track of what I was talking about and he knows it, or maybe he's out somewhere else. I don't know. It's hard. Funny. It ain't easy.
You've come way up though. I remember I used to feel like I don't know if what you're saying is accurate.
Yeah, that's still
at
true.
Times.
Yeah, no,
but
still
now
true.
You're better at communicating than I am in many ways. So it's.
I appreciate that.
One
of the things I told you, I told Alan this behind the scenes. I said, me going and doing a speech or a podcast without you is easier because I'm not worried about you judging me, not in a bad way, but like you've been mentoring me for 6 years and you're ahead in all of this. So it's like,
not in communication.
Well, what I say might not always be the most optimal truth.
Right.
So I understand sometimes you want to bring things closer to the truth, but for me, it's like, I think that's good. It's enough.
It is good.
It's enough but again, we're going off topic here. So the belief that's really, honestly, this is why my growth in getting to this level has been such a challenge for me. The belief that's really running me is I am not good enough. That is it. Like that is the number one belief I would say that's running me. And I think the layer under that for me is everybody is going to find out eventually. That's like Alan and I had a conversation. See, you're getting very red. You're getting very red right now.
But that's because I'm so intrigued.
We had a conversation. This is the way I think, and this is not made up. This is like 100% how our conversation went. I went to PodFest, one of the biggest events for podcasters. I don't know if I would say in the world, but in the country. And I came back and I was like, wow, Alan, you were right. I know way more than I realize. Awesome. And he's like, yeah, I told you, it's most likely going to be like that when you go to a podcasting event. And I said, yeah, but what if this just wasn't the event where I get found out? What if it's the next one, like the bigger show that I go to where I get found out? That really is the way my mind works. And that is my default setting. Now, can I change my default setting? I hope. I hope I can. I think I've done a really good job at overriding it. But that has been the belief that has really been running me for the last 33 years. Well, even when I played baseball, I mean, I didn't want to be the person who was up last. If the game was on the line, I didn't want to be that person. I did not believe that I should be that person. I didn't want to be because I was afraid I'd strike out and I'd ruin the game. So
Everyone
that has
wanted
been
you to be, though.
everybody. But again, it's one of those things of you don't know how I'm thinking. You're thinking how you think I would be thinking if you were in my spot. The reality is I'm not thinking the same way you are. I don't want to be in this spot, really. So that's the belief that has really been running me. And I think I always try to communicate that as effectively as possible, because I think when people get to a certain level of quote unquote success or whatever it is, oftentimes they don't really talk about that. You know, they don't. Seth Rogen just did an interview on the Diary of a CEO podcast. I saw one of the clips on YouTube, and he was talking about how he doubts himself all the time. All the time. He's like, I doubt myself all the time. He's like, I think many creative people do. And it's like interesting because somebody at his level to come out and admit that is super brave. But I feel like most people probably think that. Either people don't get asked the question or they just aren't comfortable yet admitting it.
One thing that I just had a breakthrough on, which might have been why I'm getting red, by the way, is because it's like I get really excited to talk about something that I think is really valuable.
I'm going to hold my breath when you talk, and I'm going to push out really hard so my face gets really red. Then you can see what it's like.
Perfect. So, okay, baseball. Everyone wanted you at the plate when the game was on the line. Fair?
On most of the teams I played on, some of the teams I played on were like all-star teams. So most people are going to be pretty good up there.
Okay.
But yes.
Batting average wise, were you on the higher end?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're saying is that they didn't know what you were thinking. And here's why. If you're portraying confidence that isn't real, people are going to have expectations of you higher than they should.
I don't know if I was portraying confidence. I think I was getting results that you would assume required confidence.
Right.
It's like I don't know if I was portraying.
Well, I know this isn't necessarily the point of the episode, so I'll circle this back in a second, but what others expect of you affects everything. So Kevin gets to the plate and he expects to strike out. Everyone else expects him to win the game. And it's all based on evidence you're looking at. They're looking at the evidence of you always hit the ball. Not always, but more than most. And you're looking at only the strikeouts that you've failed in the past, right?
I think when I get hits, I'm lucky. I had a time I was on, I think it was an all-star team. We were playing under the lights on Quigley Field in Uxbridge, Massachusetts. And I was up last. I think we were down by 1. Bases were loaded, or there was runners on second and third. And I struck out on 3 pitches. Because I knew I was going to. That was my thought. It's like, I am Jeffed. This is not good. I'm going to strike.
Okay, go back with this mindset. Would you? I mean, you screwed up before you even got in the plate. For sure. Mentally were like, I'm going to strike out. Of course you.
I didn't understand. I didn't understand.
Right.
I had a very fixed mindset. Yeah.
So your belief was, I'm going to strike out,
mm-hmm.
and that's I'm not good enough underneath that, right? Okay, so to bring it back to the point of this episode, what belief is really running you? This belief systems are, I mean, no matter what, we can give you a tactic on finance or, how to hit a baseball, but if you don't fix the belief piece, so this is the game right here. Kevin, if he always keeps that belief of I'm not good enough, as long as he always tries to prove it wrong, you'll still be successful. But if you say I'm not good enough and then don't try because of that, you literally prove that you're not good enough. Because the evidence you get is I'm not good enough. So it's a very dangerous thing.
Just meeting the people that there are to meet at Next Level Live made it worth it all on its own. Everybody there is incredibly supportive. Everybody there is not just strong, but also vulnerable and open, and also humble about how they're doing and where they're at in life, as well as where they've come from. So at any point, you don't feel intimidated or like you're lacking or like you're not as good as anybody else, because everybody has been at some point where you are, and everybody just wants to see each other thrive and do the best that they can.
So we have an asset in the show notes. If you click the link, you can download it for free on Google Drive. Christina, thank you for creating this. And I want to give a shout out to Emilia, because Emilia is the one who sent me this originally. And honestly, I do not know the original source. But this I use in my coaching all the time. And what we've been doing, and if you listen to one of the previous episodes we did last week, you'll know, because I kind of talked about this, and I'm going to go really high level with it. If you're looking at the asset, there's all the different common core beliefs. And there's 6 different subsections, and then they each have little subsections, and it's like a tree that the center is the trunk, and then there's the leaves and the branches. The leaves are the core beliefs. The branches are the different modalities. And if you look at the digital asset, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're driving, don't. But what I've been doing with the NLU team is identifying the common core beliefs, meaning I have someone look at all of them, and then I say which one resonates the least, which subsection resonates the least, and then we exit out live on Zoom. And then I say, now which one resonates the least, exit out. And then we keep going until there's only a couple. 2, until there's 2. And so I read, I think on the last episode, the different common core beliefs of the team. And the reason we're doing this episode is because we think the community probably has similar common core beliefs. I'm going to use one person as an example, and then I want to use Kevin as an example as well. The person that I did this with originally, we ended up, tears flew, and it was very emotional because this person didn't realize how much these core beliefs were running. When we got down to the very bottom of the beliefs, it was, I don't fit in anywhere, and I am unwelcome. This person had a very challenging childhood. Her parents fought a ton. There was alcohol abuse. I'll keep it anonymous, but it was on the very high end of traumatic childhoods, statistically speaking. And her belief inside of her as a little girl was, I don't fit in anywhere and I am unwelcome. And I think underneath that might be I am unsafe. But the point is that if she continues that belief, if she doesn't transform that belief, she's going to spend her whole life feeling like she doesn't fit in anywhere and feeling unwelcome. And I told her this. I said, first of all, you're one of the most unique people I've ever coached in my life. So in a way, you kind of don't fit in anywhere. So there's some validity to this. Okay, so let's own the truth of it, because you do have a lot of evidence to back up the fact that you don't fit in anywhere. And I know why. This person's unbelievably driven, super high self-belief. I think in her own way, she's a specific genius. So in a way, you're not gonna fit in anywhere. But you can still transform these beliefs to be more empowering. Instead of I don't fit in anywhere, I had her transform the belief. I said, I'm not supposed to fit in, I'm supposed to stand out. Or even better, I don't need to fit in because I fit in my own heart. You can transform your beliefs any way you want, but you got to choose an empowering alternative. Once you figure out that I'm not good enough if you're Kevin, or I can fix people if you're me, or I don't fit in anywhere like this person, you have to shift it. You don't have to. You would be very benefited by shifting it. And so that's what I would say is, what's an empowering alternative? So for me, instead of I can fix people, I can guide people, and the results that come from that is their responsibility, and I can learn from it. See how much more empowering that is than I can fix everybody? Kev, I'm not good enough. What's your empowering alternative?
I'm way better than I think, but I'll never know if I don't try.
Fire. Okay. That could be, Kevin, if I was him, I'd write that on the wall and I'd look at it every day.
I do think about that every day.
We are all a byproduct of these beliefs, and they're self-fulfilling. It's a dangerous game, man. Yeah. It's self-fulfilling. I can fix people is still running me. Right? I'm still trying to help people that honestly have been very disrespectful to me. And I'm transforming that now, but these beliefs are running you. So take a look at the digital asset. Try to identify what yours are just through process of elimination. Eliminate, okay, it's definitely not that, definitely not that. Whichever one ends up resonating 10 out of 10 the most, 1 or 2, usually they feed each other. So this person, I am unwelcome, I don't fit in anywhere. I am unwelcome, I don't fit in anywhere. Kev, it's probably I am unlovable, I am not good enough, or something like that. Mine, it's definitely everything's my fault, I can fix people. Everything's my fault, I can fix people. Usually these come from childhood. These come from childhood. Some kids were told you're awesome and you're amazing and you can do anything you want. You know, I'm studying all the different generations right now. Gen X, baby boomers, builders, Gen Z, millennials. And they all have kind of these different macro beliefs. And some people were, taught they're going to be amazing no matter what they do. And other people were taught, honestly, don't aim very high. You're not very smart. And everything in between. Everything in between. The key is to identify where you're at and then to choose an empowering alternative that's going to create a better life.
I was on a podcast the other day and the person asked me, I don't remember what show it was. They asked me, what's your biggest fear? And I was like, failure. Failure. Bar none, not close, failure. And it was interesting because the person kind of like tried to coach me. They're like, well, it's like, I understand. I trust me. It's not that I don't understand how to face the failure. I do it every day. And I was grateful, but it was a little weird. Like, I trust
that
me.
Mastermind we were at? We went up to Toronto. That was fun. We had a little mastermind. Yeah. It's always fun to watch people try to coach Kevin. It's like my favorite thing in the world.
I'm grateful.
You're like the student, but you also know you're not supposed to be. It's like hilarious.
I try to remain humble in that, but it's like, look, I understand. I understand that I have to overcome that. Like,
have you ever considered?
I do it every day.
Reframing failure. Have you? It's just
but
that.
Again, this person's a coach, and that's what they do, and I understand. It's nothing but.
Say, Kev,
yeah.
One of my favorite parts of this journey, watching someone who you're way ahead of try to coach you is my favorite part. It is hilarious to watch.
I get very uncomfortable, but I don't want to break rapport. So, but this person said that. It's like, I understand. The reason I say that is because that was one of my core beliefs. Not that I'm not overcoming that, not that I haven't reframed that, not that I haven't refocused that, not that I'm not breaking that down. But I can imagine that when somebody says that probably is the thing stopping them from succeeding. When for me, it's like, I understand. I'm trying to succeed regardless of that or in spite of that. So I just wanted to throw that out there because just because it's something you're afraid of, for me, at least in that analogy, doesn't mean it's running me still.
Right.
There's a difference. But I also understand that I'm sure when many people say my biggest fear is blank, the next thing is, oh, do you think that's why you're not as successful as you want to be? And oftentimes, I'm sure the answer is probably yes. So that's why I want to give some grace to the host. I don't think they were doing anything wrong. I just think...
Right. They just assume that's still running you. It's like, listen, if I didn't overcome that, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, no, I've had 1,200...
It's like going to Tony Robbins being like, did you consider the belief system underneath? What do you think the core value,
Well, I don't think
that's fun for me.
I don't think I'm Tony Robbins yet. So there's a lot of work to do. But I want to give grace to that because I'm sure... That's the other thing is you can't really tell the amount of work somebody has done behind the scenes.
Of course. And you've made that very clear to me, luckily. It's have you ever thought about your thoughts? It's like I pretty much have 1,300 episodes talking about it. But
that's it. That's all we talk about.
Yeah, that's it. It's literally all we talk about. So,
but again, it is what it is. So that is my goal for you in this episode. We've talked about it. Obviously, this week has kind of been a theme unintentionally. I didn't intentionally set it up that way, but what belief is really running you? And to Alan's point, what must you do to prove that wrong? Because that is what happens, right? It's like, last thing before we go. Imagine you're at the end of, I watched this video of this diver today who did it was like a 70-foot diving board. It's like hard pass. If you do not believe you can jump, you will never jump. If that is your belief, you're going to say, well, I don't believe it's possible, and here are a million reasons why. You might step up to it, you might step up to it, you might step up to it. But if your belief system is you cannot do it, you should not do it, you will not do it, you're not capable, you most likely never will. What is that for you? Because maybe for you, it is holding you back. It most likely is to some degree. I mean, is fear of failure holding me back? Yeah, in some way, shape, or form, right? It's probably not as optimized as it could be. So that's my challenge for you if you're listening.
No, we're a perfect team, Kev. You're afraid of failure. I'm afraid of success. We work well together.
I'm telling you.
It's all making sense these days.
I know.
If you're afraid of a 70-foot dive, try a 7-foot dive.
Mm-hmm.
And then try 17, and then try 27, and then try 37, and then go back to 27, and then try 47, right? So fire. That's it. That's all we've got. I also, and that's the show. No, I got to jump because I have a coaching.
Yeah, no, I know that.
I know you know. Have you considered the timing? You know, it's funny. All right, so Group 10. If you feel lost, you feel alone, you feel directionless, Group 10 is starting on April 11th. Reach out to Kevin or myself. We have a promo code for listeners only, 30% off, less than $100 a month, assistant coach, private WhatsApp group. It will be the Mario Kart booster that launches you into a more empowered, amazing life. And yes, we dig into belief systems. So if this episode struck you as, wow, maybe my belief systems are still holding me back, group coaching will help you with that at a far deeper level than this podcast can.
And if you haven't hit the subscribe button on whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever it is, YouTube, please subscribe so you do not miss any episodes. Yes, we drop an episode every single day, but it's good to get that little piece of motivation of Next Level University just dropped episode number, whatever it is. So please subscribe if you haven't. Tomorrow, for episode number 1289, one important conversation to have with yourself. I'm very excited for that episode. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow. What do you got, Alan?
Take care now. Bye-bye then.